Hello, this is Dr. Gabe from First Lick MRI, and this is an elbow joint. I've had some people comment they'd like to see more elbows, just bread and butter stuff. And so this is one that has a ruptured biceps tendon and also injury of their lateral ligament complex and also the lateral tendons. And so here we go. This is a view. We're going to start off with an axial T2 weighted sequence, and we're going to start up high. This is the front. Here's the back of the elbow. Here's lateral on this view. And we can see here this is the biceps muscle. Deep to that is the brachialis. You can see the posterior margin of the distal biceps muscle is bright, partially torn, and we can see this is the musculotendinous junction is injured, and the black thing here, this is the central tendon in the biceps. If we go down, 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 we're out of the muscle now into the tendon, and the tendon is surrounded by a complex fluid here, and the tendon is not straight or taut. It moves to the right and left, so it's lax. And this is part of the tendon right here. It's way too thick, too bright. So this is a completely torn, retracted biceps tendon, and the torn end is thickened here. And this is the very bottom of it. If we go one more cut down, there's just complex fluid in here in the antecubital fossa, all the way coming down here to the attachment. So here's the radial head. It should attach right along here, the radial tuberosity, and you can see this band of brightness, which is fluid, hemorrhage, and edema, and hemorrhage here all the way up to that end of the biceps. We can see this on the coronal images pretty well. If we go forward, let's find that thing. There it is. So this is the muscle up here. There's that injury of the musculotendinous junction, a little bit of edema. Here's that biceps tendon that's kind of redundant, recoiled upon itself here, makes a little S-shaped loop. And then it comes down here. It's kind of hard to see on this view at the end, but here's the broadened, thickened end. And we can see this on the sagittal images as well. You can see that biceps muscle and central tendon. Tendon here, wavy, lax. And then coming down here, this broad area is part of that biceps. You can see that abrupt transition between the foggy, thickened biceps. And then here's that fluid below here. And there's that gap, it's about 2.5 centimeters of retraction. That's actually a different measurement there. And we also notice here on this view that that radiocapitellar joint is too wide. So this is lateral on this view. We can see the radial head. We can see the joint here too wide. So we know there's got to be some lateral ligamentous laxity to get that so wide. We can see there's fluid in the joint, so we know there's fluid in the joint. The other thing we can see is the fluid comes all the way across and goes up here, continuous continuity of fluid. So we know that these ligamentous attachments here are torn, allowing that fluid to come out and up. So the lateral ligaments are deep here. They're beneath this common extensor tendon. This dark band is a common extensor tendon. Comes off the lateral epicondyle, comes down, it's black, and then it has all the muscles here, the common extensor tendon muscle group. And then deep to that, and just fused with it, you really can't tell them apart, are the ligaments. And we can see that the ligaments are torn again because that fluid comes out and goes up. We can see the radius here. The radiocollateral ligament comes up and it looks like it stops there. Again, it doesn't attach, so it's ruptured. And then the lateral ulnar collateral comes from behind the radius, comes up here, blends right with it here. And again, we don't see that attaching either. So the lateral ligaments are torn and fluid in the joint, a little bit of widening. The other thing we notice is the common extensor tendon is abnormal. There's a bony spur over here from the lateral epicondyle, and there's fluid here, again, which is abnormal. And the anterior tendons we don't really see. The tendon fibers here. It's a very thin little black band. If we go posteriorly, we do see the band here that's coming down, so it's not completely ruptured. But again, anteriorly, it's very, very thin, at least 90% torn, and a little bit of fluid there. We can appreciate that on the axial images as well. Now it's on the opposite side here. We can see that fluid, and we can see that posterior band of the common extensor tendon back here. It's intact, but fluid underneath it, so maybe some partial thickness undersurface tearing. But the anterior component, right here, we see this dark band. We see this dark band, so see the volume of it, big as the hand, and then one more cut, oh, gone. So that anterior component is torn, and on this view, you see this little linear band. So again, a partial tear of the common extensor tendon and a ruptured biceps tendon. And that's it, so thank you very much.